It's another day, left jab, right jab, this is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim, looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting, if you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go, I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show, this the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? UFC Fight Night Brunson versus Holland. I know it says Guinness, but it's not a Guinness. The Guinness is right around the corner, though. St. Patrick's Day, only days away. I'll be having a few of those then for sure, along with some Irish whiskey. And on today's episode, like I said, we got Brunson versus Holland, UFC Vegas 22. And I'm getting this video out to you guys a little bit earlier than I have been doing recently. So please do comment below. Let me know if you guys like them coming out a little bit earlier for you guys. This way, you know, if you guys are targeting certain fights, you guys can get my, my predictions on the fight, before the lines move around too much. The only flaw there is that I won't be able to let you guys know how I did on the prior card, going into the breakdown. I'll have to, let you guys know how I did about 2 cards prior. So that's the only flaw there. But you guys know I'm on my Instagram letting you guys know, right up to the minute of how I'm doing during these fight cards. So make sure you're following me on my Instagram, MMA fortune teller _ on Instagram. I got my stories going. I'm constantly posting a bunch of stuff of what I was betting. You guys can hit me up in the DMs. I'm always transparent with you guys. And also, if you don't mess around with Instagram and you're only on Twitter, the MMA teller. But again, on Twitter, I don't feel like it's as easily accessible for me to post stuff as far as stories and videos, and I'm not able to put as much content there to kind of let you guys know. I can't really, I guess I could tweet out every single bet that I do, but I'll be up to date there as well. If that's all you guys do is Twitter, catch me there as well. And, we obviously have the big fight card, coming up tomorrow. We got the Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad fight card. I have 2 plays locked in for that. I feel very good about these 2 plays. I'm probably going to keep it just at 2. And, coming off a profitable event from the card before, obviously it should have been much more profitable than it was with the Petr Yan situation. I've been hitting Instagram up with all types of memes. A lot of people are thinking I'm so salty, this and that. I hope you guys understand it's all in good fun. I just like to bust balls, and I'm enjoying it. So hopefully you're not taking it too serious. But the Petr Yan and the Aljamain Sterling memes will continue to come up until Petr Yan gets his revenge, which he will get. So that's how I feel about that. What else? I want to let you guys know that I really do appreciate every single one of you guys, as always. I'm creeping up on 4,000 subscribers. If you guys could, please hit that sub button, subscribe, like this video before I even get into the breakdowns and whatnot. It's much appreciated, and it really helps me out over here. Hit that like button. It helps with the algorithms and all that they say. Let me get my product out there. I see a lot of you guys saying, you like the content that I put out, and, you expect big things from me. So I need a little bit of help. Help me get some exposure. And, yeah, with no further ado, let's get right into this upcoming fight card. So, UFC Vegas 22. I think we got a hell of a main event on our hands. Like I said, a lot of top prospects, in my opinion, are very, very talented fighters that we want to keep an eye on moving forward, fighting on this card. I'm very fond of it. Gregor Gillespie makes his return against Brad Riddell, who's been on fire. We got a fun fight there with Tai Tuivasa and Dontel Mays. Adrian, Yanez, a guy we've had on the show that's been knocking out everybody. Cheyanne Buys, who really, showed a very impressive performance of herself on Dana White's Contender Series. Now she's taking on a very tough Kay Hansen. Grant Dawson, one of the top prospects in the game, taking on a very, very crafty Leonardo Santos. What else we got? JP Buys, the boyfriend of Cheyanne, who's very talented as well. He's taking on Bruno Silva, who's a very talented fighter too. So, this is a very, very exciting card in my opinion. We'll get into the first fight of the event. We got Johnny Eduardo taking on Anthony Burchek. Anthony Burchek is getting another opportunity here, coming off that loss against Gustavo Lopez. Obviously, he had a stint with the UFC a while back. Did some things outside the promotion, and he was able to return. He took a loss there, but Gustavo Lopez is a very tough fighter, and he was able to go in there and get the rear naked choke against Anthony. And Anthony is a guy that's very talented on the mat. I think that's really his bread and butter. He's an overall mixed martial artist, of course. He's been in the game for a long time, but I really do like his grappling. I know that he's very active on the grappling scene as well throughout the years. And he's taken on a guy in Johnny Eduardo, who is more of a striker. This guy, his bread and butter is striking. But again, these are these are fighters that have been around the block for a long time. So these guys definitely have sharpened up all their skills. But, Eduardo, he was a Muay Thai fighter. I mean, that's what his bread and butter was back in the day. Training with Nova União. He's 40 years old now, 40 and a half, creeping up on 41. So, he's aged a lot. Coming off, 2 losses, lost to Matthew Lopez and Nathaniel Wood, two talented fighters there. This, as far as the size goes, pretty much identical. I don't think anybody really has a true edge there. So, I mean, this is a good matchup. I like Berchek here. I think Berchek is going to have an opportunity to be the fresher, younger fighter here with the grappling edge, and I think that he'll be able to get this fight down to the mat maybe at some time, and that could really benefit him there. Maybe do something like this. Obviously, he wasn't on the solid end of this situation, but maybe he could be on the back of Eduardo pulling off a rear naked choke. I could see something like that playing out. Johnny Eduardo, like I said, man, this guy loves the striking. As far as the striking situation in this fight, I definitely do edge Eduardo there. I mean, this guy is very, very well versed on the feet. He's been around the block for a long time. He's trained with some of the best strikers in the world, some of the most aggressive MMA strikers in the game for years. And I do give him the edge there. Seems to be very much in good shape still, even at the age that he's at. But I think that this is an opportunity for Berchek to pull something off here, or to pull a victory off. He really needs to pull off a victory. It's been a long time since he's had something good going for himself here in the UFC. And we take a look at the line. And we got, Anthony Berchek is the slight favorite. It's pretty much a pick'em. So, if you're feeling confident one way or another, you could definitely get a solid line. I favor Berchek here. I like to have the grappler in this type of fight here. And especially with the age of Eduardo. That's one of the main things there. And, it's been about almost 3 years since the last time he's fought a professional mixed martial arts bout too. So I'm not, a big fan of the ring rust and the long layoff. And with all those things, all those things taking place, I'm going to take Anthony Berchek here, El Toro. And again, Anthony Berchek is a guy, I've talked about this. This was a guy that I was high on way back in the day. I mean, this guy was one of the original flyweight fighters, fighting outside the UFC, who people were keeping an eye on. I remember him taking on Ryan Benoit, or Bennett, however you want to pronounce that, the Canadian name. But those guys were some of the guys, people back in the day were keeping an eye on. And, I've been following his career for quite some time, so I would like to see him pull off a victory here. As far as betting goes, Berchek doesn't always show up as well, so, this may not be the fight you want to target. But I will edge Anthony Berchek to win the fight. In the next fight, we got JP Buys taking on Bruno Silva. You guys know I'm very high on JP Buys. JP Buys is a guy, coming into his last fight on Dana White's Contender Series. I had an official play on him. I did send a play out to people. This is a guy that I feel is very, very talented. He did lose the first time around on Dana White's Contender Series. But, look at his age. He's only 24 years old right now, about to be 25. He was so young when he lost that fight. Let's see. That was back in... Let's see. 1 second, guys. Yeah, so he lost that fight to Joby Sanchez. That was back in 2017. He was very, very young at the time. And Joby Sanchez is actually a crafty fighter. So, he had some things going against him there, and that was a very much a learning experience. He's bounced back with 5 victories in a row. He's going out there. He's finishing these guys left and right. The fight against Jacob Silva was a solid fight for him. Some people thought it was a premature stoppage. I didn't really think so. I didn't really think it mattered. I thought JP was dominating the fight. He's a very, very competent grappler. This guy is very serious with the grappling, man. When this guy gets a hold of you, he'll get you down, and he's like glue to you down there, man. He holds position very well. His striking's good. He carries power. And I truly think he's one of the top prospects in the game. He's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage, a 2-inch height advantage. He's a little bit more of the bigger fighter here, that's for sure. When you look at these guys' frame, forget about even just the statistics. I mean, if JP really carries a solid frame in there for the weight class, he's very, very jacked up. Then let's talk about Bruno. Bruno Silva is a very talented fighter as well. I know that Bruno trains with some of the best fighters in the game. This guy's a very polished fighter. I know that he brushes shoulders with Henry a lot. He was a champion outside the UFC. This is a guy a lot of people have been high on, coming into the UFC. You take a look at what he's been doing. He's coming off 2 losses. David Dvorak is a tough fighter, and then he lost to Tigger Ulanbekov, who's a highly touted prospect as well. So maybe don't look too much into those losses there. Bruno, still has shown to be a very talented fighter in his own right as well. Had the draw here against Khalid Taha. Khalid Taha, I think let me check this out again because I believe he lost that fight, and then it was a no contest. Yeah, he lost that fight due to an arm triangle choke, and then it was some type of it was overturned for I forget if it was a drug test or whatever it was. I think it might have been some type of performance enhancing drug. If you guys remember, comment below. But either way, he lost this fight, and Khalid is a very tough fighter as well. So that's 3 losses in a row. I do like the level of competition he's going in there against. And before that, he was handling business. He can strike, he can grapple. He's a very well-rounded fighter. This is going to be a tough test for him. Like I said, I'm very high on JP, and I'm definitely rolling with JP here. The line is right around -200. Settling in right around -200. Some books it's up to 250. So keep an eye on what book you're working with. And something else to keep an eye on. We'll talk about his wife or his girlfriend, Cheyanne. They're a fighter couple, and I know that these. This couple takes fighting very serious. They live and breathe it, and they're 2 fighters that you want to keep an eye on. We'll be talking about Cheyanne in a minute. But like I said, JP has some serious grappling to go along with, being in phenomenal shape, being very young. I'm very excited to see how his career progresses as he creeps up into the upper 20s and creeps up into his 30s. I think this guy is a potential champion. All right. In the next fight, we got Julia Avila taking on Julioa Storliarenko. I know some of you guys give me a hard time on the pronunciations, but Joja, however you want to pronounce her name, it's slipping my mind right now. But she had her UFC debut not too long ago. She dropped the ball there, lost to Yana Kunitskaya, who's actually been shown to be a very tough fighter. Looked great in her last fight. So this is going to be a big fight for her here. She needs to pull off this victory. Julia Avila is a girl, going into this fight again. She's a big favorite. She was a big favorite in her last fight against Sarge. Dropped the ball there in a big way. Actually, I was very surprised to see how that fight played out. Avila did not look good in that fight at all. She's a tough girl. Julia has some good grappling. If she gets on top of you, she could work some good ground and pound. But off her back, I wasn't so impressed with her get-up game and her takedown defense at times. She took out Gina Mazzani, looked very good in that fight. But, that was a fight that she went out there and just kind of bullied Gina and ended the fight quickly. So in the Sarge fight, we got to see a little bit more from her. And, there's some potential holes there. I'm going to pull up the line here real quick, just so we have an idea what we're looking at, because she's going to be, a -350 favorite against, Joja, a girl that is decently well-rounded herself. You see her here getting it in on the mat. This is, maybe her opportunity to win this fight is to try to get the fight down to the mat and try to kind of blanket Avila and pull off the decision in that way. I think that'd be a good opportunity for her to go out there and take this fight as a pretty big dog. But like I said, Avila really dropped the ball against Sarge, and you might want to hold off taking her in a spot where she's a -350 and, a women's mixed martial arts bout that may play out closely. I feel like this fight can easily play out very closely, and I don't know how I feel about a -350 line there. So, yeah, and in the Yana fight, Julja, she didn't look that good in that fight. I mean, if you remember how it played out, Yana pretty much controlled her against the cage. She bullied her around in that fight as well. So, I mean, Avila definitely has the opportunity to go out there and do that. Maybe I'm being a little bit hard on her. But again, when you got lines at minus 350, I just don't know if I'm crazy about it after the performance that she just pulled off. But yeah, most likely I see Avila controlling her against the cage, being a little bit more aggressive in there. But be careful. I'm telling you guys right now, just be a little bit careful with this fight. And yes, Avila is the pick. I know sometimes, I guess I'm not so clear with my picks here. I'll try to be a little bit more emphatic who I'm picking. I know I see some comments and people are saying, what was your pick? You weren't so clear, but it's definitely Avila. But not crazy about the line. All right, in the next fight, we got Montel Jackson taking on Jesse Strader. Jesse Strader. This fight was just thrown onto the card, very, very recently as I'm recording this. So it's a nice little match that was added to the card. Montel Jackson coming off a big loss where he really dropped the ball. He was a big-time favorite against Brett Johns. I thought he was going to go out there and handle business in that fight. And he really got controlled against the cage. Johns was able to really control Johns, hold him against the cage, and just kind of stagnate his way to a decision victory there. I think was it a split decision? I'm trying to remember. No, it was a unanimous decision. Yeah, it was 29-28. Now remember, Montel Jackson hurt Brett Johns early in that fight in the first round. Almost stopped him, but Johns was able to hang tough in there and pull off the decision. Montel Jackson's a guy that's been very impressive. He has a crazy reach. It doesn't have Jesse's reach advantage here, but I'm willing to guarantee you that Jackson has a very good reach advantage here. His reach is ridiculous for the division. You guys know about his hands. He has these giant hands, almost the same size as Francis Ngannou. So he has all that going for him, but he definitely needs to polish his game up. Now, I would say the route for Strader to win this fight is to try to hold Montel against the cage and do something that we saw Brett Johns do. But you know what? I don't necessarily think that's the case, and I'm not really sure if Strader's going to go out there and look to do that. When you watch Strader's fights, he's willing to engage in a brawl. He likes to go out there and he likes to throw power shots and try to take you out. I was watching some of his fights over there in the combate scene. Wasn't looking to grapple really. He was looking to knock dudes out. I wasn't crazy about his technique. He throws these kind of wild hooks from the hip, kind of leaves his chin out there. I think Montel Jackson's going to be a little bit more, technical there. But as we've seen, if you watch his fights, it only takes one shot for this guy to hit you on the chin and put you out. And I think that's more of the route that Strader's going to need to go to try to pull off a victory here. I think that he's going to want to try to clip Jackson and make this an entertaining brawl and stuff Jackson's takedowns. Jackson may try to get on top of him and work some ground and pound. I think that maybe he wants to avoid that. So the time has come. All the hard work, dedication, early mornings, late nights in the gym, missing holidays, and every single sacrifice I've made for the past 10 plus years have prepared me for this moment. He says he's ready and confident. So you got to love the energy that Strader is bringing into the octagon. And, Jackson is right around, if I remember correctly, right around a minus 500 right now. That's what it's opening up at. Strader is right around, a plus 385. And like I said, Jackson dropped the ball in a big way in his last fight. And shout out to Brett Johns. I think I kind of underestimated him in that fight. I think a lot of people did. Brett Johns, fighting out of Wales, he has some legit grappling. This guy has a very tight clinch. And he gets a hold of guys and he really nullifies them against the octagon cage. And I think did he sign with Bellator? I think he might be over in Bellator now. The UFC was not a fan of his style, but he's a talented dude and he can go out there and get victories. I'm going to take Montel Jackson in this fight. I think Montel comes out and he gets back in the win column here. But minus 500 after the performance that he just put on and with the hole that he showed in his game where he was way, way too comfortable with his back against the cage in Montel Jackson. So I wasn't crazy about that, but I still got to take him to win this fight. The line, maybe a little bit high. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson goes out there and handles business. Strader doesn't have a big resume. 5-1, and I want to show you guys this as well. 5-1, and if you take a look at the level of competition, these guys don't have a lot of pro experience. Marcelo Rojo, a fighter that we'll be talking about, a pretty talented fighter in his own right as well. So that one loss was to a formidable opponent. We'll see how he fights against Montel Jackson. All right, how about this fight? We got Roman Dolidze stepping in to take Trevin Giles. Obviously, Trevin was supposed to be fighting Dricus Du Plessis. That fight just fell apart. And to tell you the truth, I'm a little bit more excited for this fight than the Dricus fight. You know, Dricus definitely has knockout power. Similarly than does Roman have. But I think Roman is a guy that's a little bit more polished of a fighter, a little bit more of a talented fighter, in my opinion. 8-0. This guy's striking's nasty. Coming off, 2 wins inside the UFC since making his debut. Took out Kidis Abrigamov, who's not on the level, needs to be let go from the UFC if he wasn't already. I think he was. John Alon, that was a split decision victory for him. Alon is actually a talented fighter. Mark my words on that. He's a talented dude. Trevin Giles is a talented fighter too, coming off 2 victories. Took out Kraus in that split decision. Took out Bevan Lewis, where he pretty much dominated that fight. Got inside Bevan Lewis's head from the very beginning and controlled that fight. But this is going to be a different type of fighter, in my opinion. Roman is a guy you will not intimidate, and you won't control him in the same way that he did to Bevan. Don't expect Roman to be on the back foot the entire fight. Roman really has top level tapi. That's his bread and butter there. He's going to have a 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. A little bit more of the naturally bigger fighter here. But I do like what Trevin brings to the table as well. Trevin Giles, he has some grappling to go along with his striking, and he was looking very, very crisp on the feet against Bevan too. This is an excellent fight. Before I even looked at the line, I kind of predicted where it would be at in my head as soon as I saw this fight announced, and I pretty much hit it on the head. I thought Roman should be a slight favorite here, and that is the case. We take a look at the line right now, and Roman's right around a -130, and I think that's about right. I think you could even take Roman around -140, -150. I like Roman to win the fight. This guy he's very comfortable in there. He's very confident in there. I'm going to say cocky as well. You could throw that in there as well. This he's confident with the skills that he has. And these Georgian fighters are serious. They've been proving it time and time again. All the Georgian fighters that step into the octagon keep continuing to win fights. These guys know what they're doing. And I'm going to take him to win the fight there. But again, Trevin Giles is definitely a solid fighter. This is a guy you want to keep an eye on too. And I wouldn't be surprised if Trevin ended up being a little bit more active in there and rose to the occasion and got a victory. Like I said, very, very impressed with his performance in his last fight. I've been a little bit more high on what I've seen from Roman. I think this guy has some real potential. But one thing I did notice is that Roman started off a little bit slow in his UFC debut against Cadiz, but once he started to pick it up there, you see the talent. So, keep an eye on him stepping in on short notice as well. That's another factor. All right, we got Grant Dawson taking on Leonardo Santos. 2 guys that I favored very much as of recently and that have been official plays of mine. You know that how high I am on Grant Dawson. We talk about what's going on over at Glory MMA and Fitness. And if you want to talk about what's going on over there, it starts with Grant Dawson. As far as, the proteges of James Krause. This guy is the top prospect fighting out of there. And, we've had guys on the show that are out of that camp. Everyone talks about how great Grant Dawson is and what they're expecting from him. Everyone's expecting him to be a champion in the UFC. He's 16-1. It all started off with him, if you guys remember, on Dana White's Contender Series, where he put on an incredible pace with his grappling. It was ridiculous. But now we're seeing all different types of layers in his game with the striking as well. James Krause is molding him just to be an incredible mixed martial artist. And this is a big-time fight for him because Leonardo Santos is a multiple-time jiu-jitsu champion. He's up there in age, but he's shown that, it's no thing, man. He still goes back in there, and he's nasty. And forget about just his grappling. This guy can strike as well. A very, very talented striker. I had a big play on him in his last fight. And that was against Roman Bogatov, who was making his UFC debut, I believe, at the time. An undefeated fighter, I believe. And I think he's since been cut. There was some issue with him. I think they said something about him being a racist or something, but something like that. I'm not exactly sure of the details, but a lot of people were on Roman there. Not me. I was all over Leonardo. I felt stylistically, the striking, the grappling. This guy, Leonardo, is a beast. He's 41 years old. He still looks so young in there, though. So this is an excellent test for Grant Dawson. And I'm going to take Grant Dawson. You guys know I'm not going to go against my boy Grant here. I do feel Leonardo is legit though, and I want to make that clear. I think Leonardo is very, very legit, and would not be surprised, if he puts Grant in a position where maybe he makes a mistake and catches him with the sub. We're talking about top level grappling and top level jiu-jitsu as far as that goes. Leonardo's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. If he can pump the jab, he's a little bit taller as well, 2 inches taller. Maybe he can use the height and the reach there. But I'm just all over Grant. I think Grant will have the better cardio. I think he'll have the better wrestling, and I think he'll have the better striking. And like I said, you're going to see new layers in this guy's game every time. And I'm all over Grant Dawson here. I think that Grant has a lot of potential, and I'm rolling with big boy Grant. And Grant Dawson right now is right around a -200. So, we talked about some of these fighters that are just top prospects in the game and guys that you want to keep an eye on. Grant Dawson is leading the pack as far as I'm concerned with this card. So Grant Dawson is the pick to win the fight. And the line's really not horrible, but keep an eye on Leonardo. Like I said, Leonardo is the threat as well, but I like Grant Dawson. In the next fight, we got Marion Reneau taking on Macy Chiasson. Speaking of aged fighters that are still hanging around the game, Marion Reneau, now 43 years old, creeping on 44, still in phenomenal shape, still doing her thing. Even though she's coming off 3 losses, she's always tough. She's always walking forward. She's looking to entertain you with the fight. Taking on Macy Chiasson, really dropped the ball against Lena Landsberg, bounced back with the victory over Shayna Young. Macy Chiasson was a girl people were very, very high on. She was going in there, brutalizing girls with the ground and pound. And, she's rangy in there. She's a little bit of an intimidating type of fighter. Dropped the ball in a big way against Lena. She was controlled and nullified against the octagon cage in a similar fashion that Montel Jackson was. Just to kind of shed light on some holes in the game. She can be controlled. Has to work on her grappling. Her ground game is not that good. So if she's on her back, she's not really that solid down there. She's not that reliable. And, taking on a girl, Marion Reneau, that's an overall well-rounded fighter. But, you got to wonder, as far as the age goes, she really is up there in age. I know she's still in good shape, but I don't know. Reneau does carry power as well. We've seen her go in there and knock girls out. Finish Talita Bernardo, the BJJ specialist, BJJ black belt. Sarah McMahon, she was able to pull off the triangle choke there and then kind of started dropping the ball. Lost to Kat Zingano. Yana Kunitskaya, who's we talked about again, a very talented fighter, and then lost to Raquel Pennington. So the 3 fighters that she just lost to are all, very skilled fighters. This is going to be a real fight here, I think. I think Marion can go out there and do something very similar to what Lena Landsberg did to her. And if she's able to implement that game plan, she can go out there and get a victory. I'm going to edge Macy Chiasson, though. I still like Macy. I think that she still has some things to show us, she has some skills and she could still show us what she's about. She's a -200. I guess that's a decent line if she shows up, but I don't know. I don't know if I could rely on her here. I still have nightmares of what she did against Lena Landsberg, where she was a big-time favorite. She was like a -600, 700 or something like that. Pull it up for you guys. She was... she settled in right around a -575, right around there. She was a big favorite, and she dropped the ball in a big way. So I'm still going to edge her to win this fight. She may go out there and really, really show up, but I think this fight plays out a little bit closer than some people may believe. So, but I am on Macy Chiasson. I'll take the youth and the potential starting to come together for Macy. All right, getting into the main card here. Got some disappointing news, which I'm sure by the time some of you guys are watching this video, you guys would have definitely already known this, but Cheyanne Buys will no longer be fighting Kay Hansen. This is breaking news right here. Kay Hansen is a girl that's very, very talented. She had to withdraw from the fight. I don't even have the exact details as I'm letting you guys know this right now. This is breaking news as I'm recording this. Kay Hansen is a girl that's very, very talented, and I was very, very much looking forward to the matchup against Cheyanne Buys. Only 21 years old. Wish her the best, and we'll see her back in there soon. We still have a lot to see from her at only 21 years old. So she will no longer be fighting here. And we have a new opponent stepping in. And we got a Mexican chick stepping in. And Montserrat Ruiz, who is 9-1. and taking on Cheyanne Bays, who's absolutely no joke. And you know, she's been putting together a nice little resume here. She's 9-1, has some experience over in Invicta. Did lose to Danielle Taylor, ex-UFC fighter. Coming off a win against Janissa Mondaran, 10-3 opponent. Cheyanne Bays, this is a girl that really, you know, really put the spotlight on her in her Dana White Contender Series fight. She was in there, you know, just dominating the fight, screaming at her opponent. The striking was nasty. We talked about her boyfriend, JP Bays, who's one of the top fighters in the game, so you love that they're able to feed off each other. You know, Cheyanne is a girl that I definitely want to keep an eye on. And in a sense, I'm almost happy that she's not fighting Kay Hansen, because I'm very high on both those girls, and I want to see both of their careers progress. I want to see them groomed through the ranks before they're fighting each other, taking losses on their resume. I think these girls both can start putting off a lot of victories and work their way up to a fight when they both have a little bit more experience and they've made a little bit more of a name for themselves. Cheyanne is a girl, like I said, shows to have a lot of promise in the fight game. She's on a 4-fight win streak here. And her striking is very crisp. She has very polished striking, and I think she's going to give a lot of girls problems on the feet. You know, the Montserrat Ruiz girl has a decent resume in her own right, but I'm edging Cheyanne right now. I want to dig a little bit deeper into this fight, but I do like Cheyanne from everything I'm seeing as of right now. And with Cheyanne, I know she's been training for this fight for quite some time, training for a top-level fighter. And Kay Hansen, I don't think she'll have necessarily a problem with Ruiz here. You know, Ruiz does have some grappling. You know, maybe Ruiz tries to get this fight down to the mat and tries to exploit a little bit of Bays' his grappling skills, but I don't necessarily see that being the case, and I think Cheyanne shows up and she dominates. We're not even going to have a line on this fight as of right now. Like I said, it was just announced, so there's not going to be a line on this fight as of right now. And I'll shed some more light on this fight moving forward up into next fight week. I'll put out a video about this fight. You know, we'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll have it on Instagram and whatnot too. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into her opponent. But my preliminary prediction is Bays is going to show up and handle business there from what I'm seeing. So, Cheyanne Bays. And I know that Cheyanne brushes shoulders with some solid fighters. This is Jin Yu Frey, who's fighting this weekend. So you know they're both going into camp together. You know they both been training, so you gotta love that, brushing shoulders with a lot of solid fighters over there. And Cheyanne is over in I believe she's over in Texas. Yeah, she's over in Texas. She's training with name of the gym is slipping my mind right now. It's a solid camp. Fortis MMA. Yeah, so she's been over at Fortis for a little bit now. I know JP's been over there too, you know, obviously together, and I like what goes on over there. So yeah, Cheyanne. Let's see how the line. Let's see where the line's at and where it comes out at. All right, Max Griffin taking on Kenan Song, the assassin, coming off 2 victories. He's a nasty striker in his own right, coming off a knockout against Kalen Potter, which was about a year ago. Took out Derek Krantz as well. Max Griffin, you guys know Max Payne Griffin. Max Griffin's been putting it together as of recently, coming off the victory against Ramiz Brahmihaj, where he basically ripped his ear off. If you guys remember, Ramiz is a fighter. I believe he trains at a Fortis MMA himself, and a lot of people were high on him. Has good grappling skills. He really dropped the ball in that fight. Didn't even try to get the fight down to the mat. Or I shouldn't say it like that. Max Griffin did show some skills there as far as keeping it on the mat. Takedown defense looked very good. Max Griffin's coming into this fight with a big reach advantage. Coming in with about a 4.5-inch reach advantage. You know, which he generally does have that long frame advantage against his opponents. Even though Song's going to have a 1-inch height advantage. So keep an eye on the kicks of Song. You know, Song, you know, out of all the talented Chinese fighters, I wouldn't say that I'm as high on him as some of the other guys out there, but he's a talented fighter in himself too. As you see some of the top Chinese fighters in the game right here. We got the Leech, we got Wei Ji, and what's his name? Slipping my mind, man. We just saw him fight. Hey, I got to get some more coffee in me. But what's his name? It's going to drive me nuts. Anyways, he just took the loss against the Matrix. So, anyways, you guys get the idea. You guys know what I'm talking about. Sometimes, when you're out here on the mic, it's a little bit harder than you guys think, man, to start remembering all these different names. Obviously, you guys know I know what I'm talking about. But anyways, Kenan Song, this is a perfect matchup as far as striking goes. I think that this is going to be a striking-based fight. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Max try to use a little bit of grappling, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Max tries to hold Kenan against the cage a little bit. Maybe try to mix in a takedown here and there. We've been seeing that from him as of recently. He's really been coming into these fights in great shape. Pumping the jab. His striking's been looking better than ever. So you do have to like what you've been seeing from Max Griffin as far as sharpening up his overall game. If you guys follow him on Instagram, he's been talking about how he's been in the best shape of his life. And honestly, it's kind of believable. As far as his performance in his last fight, I mean, you see him talking about his abs are coming in, this and that. He's been very, very confident, and he's an overall cool dude too. Max Griffin. If you guys watch him, he's on Instagram Live, and he's an overall pretty cool dude. And I was impressed with the performance that he put on in his last fight against Ruiz, and I think that he may be able to string this off. String that victory off with another one here, coming in at a -165, right around there. That may be a little bit high because I do think there's some question marks in this fight. We'll see how these striking exchanges take place. Kenan may be a little bit more sharper on the feet, but I will edge Max Griffin as well. Max was in there more recently, lost to Alex Oliveira. That was a close fight. So it's been in there about two times since Kenan's last fight. So was in there 4 months ago. I don't know if that's too much of so much of an edge, but I mean, it definitely helps. And I will slightly edge Max Griffin to win this fight, but I think this is a fight that could play out closely, and not super confident in that at all. We've seen Max Griffin not look the best at times in there, but I'm hoping that he does continue to evolve his game and gets a victory there. I'll be rooting for Max Griffin there. All right, in the next fight, we got Adrian Yanez taking on Gustavo Lopez. I really, really like this matchup here. Adrian Yanez, one of the coolest dudes I've had the pleasure to speak with on MMA Live Discussion. Just an awesome dude. Really, really down to earth. This is a guy that you could tell. I mean, if he was ever the champion, this is a guy that's just walking down the street, just acting like a normal guy. I don't think that he would ever let it get to his head. And, just an overall solid dude. I don't know if you guys can even see this if I play this. I guess we'll find out how that looks for you guys, whatever. But, we got an ad coming in too. But Adrian Yanez, this guy has absolute dynamite in his fists. He showed it once again in his last fight against Victor Rodriguez, where he actually did land a head kick too, but he was tagging him up with the hands as well before that. The boxing is very, very crisp. Got a knockout against Brady Huang on Dana White's Contender Series. Let's not forget this kid's dad was a professional boxer. The boxing is really his bread and butter. This guy's very, very silky smooth on the feet with his hands. I'm going to give him the edge on the feet against Gustavo Lopez, but I think that Gustavo is very, very tough as well. I think Gustavo will march forward and really look to make this a brawl and a real fight on the feet. And, you got to keep an eye on Gustavo's grappling. We've seen him go in there and take guys down and really exploit guys on the mat. Has a nice submission game. And, we've seen Yanez lose some fights in the past due to his grappling. Lost to Miles Johns there, lost to Domingo Pilarte, and some of those fights he was taken down and kind of held down a little bit. If you guys remember, if you run the tape back on those fights, that was a while back. I know he's been sharpening up his takedown defense and whatnot, but like I said, Gustavo is a guy that the book isn't out on him. This guy might be a solid fighter. He's been in there. Took out Anthony Burchek in his last fight, lost to Merab Davashvili. Took that fight on short notice. Merab is an absolute beast. Who has a fight coming up with Cody Stamann. Just to shed some light on that, Cody Stamann is not happy with the fans of Merab is Georgian as well, no? Yeah, the Georgian fans. So I was posting about that on my Instagram. Just want to talk about that real quick, but that's a fight to keep on the radar. Cody Stamann unfortunately did lose his brother, and it looks like the Georgian fans have been talking crap about his brother who committed suicide, and kind of a sad situation. But Cody seems extremely motivated. He said that Merab is going to pay for what the fans have been saying. kind of excited to see that fight take place. So again, though, Merab is one of the most talented fighters in the division. And then before that, did have a couple losses against Ewell and Jose Alde. Not Jose Aldo, but Jose Alde, who is, the Mexican fighter. Some would say he's the Mexican version of Jose Aldo. But actually, if you guys are familiar with him, he's actually a decent fighter. So, it's been 4-1 in his last 5 fights and has a big fight coming up with Adrian Yanez. You guys know I'm going to roll with Adrian here. I think Adrian, I'll edge him to be able to keep this fight on the feet where he will shine with his striking. He's right around a minus 200. How do I feel about that line? How do I say this? I like what Gustavo Lopez brings to the table. I know he's extremely motivated for this fight. I know he's been training hard for this fight. He's going to be ready to go. I got to edge Yanez, though. I think Yanez, like I said, he rises to the occasion. That's 2 times in a row that he's really had amazing performances. And I like Yanez to be the sharper, quicker striker there. Lopez is solid, though. Lopez is very solid. Look, 4.5 weeks out, ready to beep shit up. That didn't really make sense, right? I did a beep and then I cursed right after the other beep. But you guys get it, man. This guy is he's a tough customer. Coming in as a dog. Some people may think there's some potential value there. This is a fight we're going to have to see play out. But I'm rolling with Adrian Yanez. I'm not necessarily crazy about the line. I would have liked Yanez more around like minus 160, something like that. So this is a fight that I'm very excited for. But I'm taking my boy Adrian Yanez to win the fight. And don't be surprised if he gets another knockout, because that's what he does. All right. We got 3 fights left. We got Tai Tuivasa taking on Dontel Mays. Now, this is a fight, 2 guys that don't come in the best of shape, but they do have knockout power. They're kind of entertaining fighters. They kind of have a, how do I say it? They're kind of characters in their own right. Dontel Mays, a guy that got into the MMA game late, a guy that can, he made a name for himself getting a big knockout on Dana White's Contender Series. He throws bombs. His grappling is not up to par. This guy can definitely be exploited down on the mat. You hope he's still sharpening those skills out, but the thing is, against higher level grapplers, I don't know how much you can catch up, with your grappling, getting into the game as late as he did. I think that whenever he fights guys that really been grappling since a younger age, they're going to go in there, going to take him down, they're going to dominate him if he doesn't catch them early. Tai Tuivasa, though, luckily for Dontel, Tai Tuivasa is a guy that's going to want to exchange on the feet and look for the knockout in his own right. We know Tai has been training with the American Kickboxing Academy, aka for some time, and got a busted up nose there. Tai's a solid dude, brushing shoulders with Mark Hunt. Look at Mark Hunt, still looking to be in very good shape 6 weeks ago. I know he just had a boxing match over there down under. I think this is an awesome fight that they threw in the main card for us. It's an entertaining fight. I think you guys will be on the same page as me. We'll have a drink in our hand or whatever you guys do, and we'll enjoy this fight here. I want to pull up the line for you guys. We got Tai Tuivasa right around a minus 245. I'm not necessarily crazy about that, even though I do edge Tai Tuivasa to win the fight. Tai Tuivasa is a guy that carries a lot of extra weight in there. This is a guy that you got to wonder how seriously he takes the game at times. I'm not saying he doesn't take it serious, but, I have a feeling this guy kind of lets loose a little bit. I don't know how disciplined he is, during his fight camp. And I don't know why he can't shed off all that extra weight and really try to elevate his game to another level. I would play this video for you, but it doesn't work. But this was when he had his knockout victory in his UFC debut. I think he hit him with the flying knee, which was that was against pull it up real quick. That was a guy that was undefeated at the time as well, and Rashad Coulter, or no, maybe he wasn't undefeated, but either way, that was a guy people were kind of high on. But the point I'm making is that Tai, bursted on the scene, strung off 3 victories in a row. Now he's coming off 3 losses, all to solid opponents: Sergey Spivak, Blagoy Jr., and then he bounced back with the knockout victory over Struve. I expect Tai to be able to handle Mays here. He should, but I do think the line is a little high, so I'm not crazy about the line. And as far as the frames go, real quick, Mays is going to have a 6-inch reach advantage, and he's the much taller fighter as well, 4-inch height advantage as well. It's a good fight, boys. Let's enjoy that one. All right, we got Gregor Gillespie making his long-awaited return since being put to sleep, taking on Brad Riddell. An excellent fight. The UFC does not play around. You come off a knockout victory against Kevin Lee. Guess what? We're throwing you right in there with Brad Riddell, one of the top prospects in the game, one of the nastiest strikers in the game. That's going to be throwing shins across your head. You better make sure you're dipping and dodging, otherwise you're going to get knocked out again. Brad Riddell coming off a solid performance against Alex de Silva, dropped the first round, came back very solid in the last 2 rounds. So Brad Riddell does start off a little slow at times. Beautiful calf kicks, beautiful leg kicks. The boxing's crisp. The takedown defense is crisp. This guy is really showing to be a nasty fighter. Training out of City Kickboxing, Tiger Muay Thai. We know that he's coached over there in Tiger Muay Thai. You'll see him holding pads, for absolute killers in the game. What's his name? That one killer. Oh, the names are slipping my mind, man. This one guy, he's a very entertaining fighter. Let's see if I can pull it up. I was just watching this earlier. Name is slipping my mind, man. It's early, man. It's early over here. The hell is his name? Not that it has too much relevance, but you guys get my point. I mean, this guy, as far as the striking goes, this guy is very, very, very technical. It's the video I was watching. Anyways, I'm not going to be able to pull it up, but it's one of those. I think he's from Chechnya or one of those areas. That nasty, nasty killer on the feet. Anyways, I know he spars with him and he trains a lot with him. I'm gonna get his name and I'm gonna throw it in the comments. All right, I'm gonna comment the name below. The point I was making is this guy's striking is nasty. He brushes shoulders with some of the best strikers in the game, and Gregor Gillespie is coming off a performance where he really froze up on the feet and got head kicked. And Gregor Gillespie is a guy that's been working on his boxing for a long time. He's starting to feel confident in his boxing. But you know what? It's a different type of striking when you're talking about these guys that have been training striking for such a longer period of time than, these wrestlers. Gregor Gillespie being a very, very talented wrestler who starts to work on their boxing, and they're very hand-oriented. They're trying to learn the kicks as well. But you got guys like Brad Riddell that are overall very, very polished on the feet. They mix it all up, and they're going to be just playing games with you on the feet. And I expect Brad Riddell to be the more talented fighter on the feet. Is going to give Gregor some real trouble there. Gregor Gillespie needs to not try to entertain the striking exchanges too much like he did against Kevin Lee. Do not freeze up. Start making this a grapple-heavy affair right from the beginning. Even if Brad stuffs some takedowns, which I really don't even think he will. I think that Gregor can go in there and get some takedowns early. Make this a fight where you guys are both getting tired. You're taking some pop off Brad Riddell's striking. So, you're not as likely to get knocked out. And, I think that will help Gregor. Let's not forget, Gregor is a Division I, NCAA champion. This guy is one of the most highly touted prospects that came into the game with his wrestling pedigree. He really dropped the ball against Kevin Lee. I'm not exactly crazy about his psyche in the game. If you guys know what I mean by that, just the way he took the loss. I don't think he's so serious about the fight game. And when I say that, who am I to say that? But if you listen to some of his interviews, I'm comparing him to guys that are crazy about the fight game. Yeah, he's extremely dedicated. He's a UFC fighter. He's a very gifted athlete. But I've heard some things from him that just come off like it's just, he's in there to fight. It is what it is. I don't know. There were some things, if I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, compared to how some guys are crazy about the fight game. But I'm sure that loss was very motivating in its own self. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in here and he uses his wrestling, and he tries to make this a grueling affair where he can pull off the decision. Gregor Gillespie is an extremely talented fighter. He needs to use the wrestling here to pull off this victory. This is a striking versus grappler matchup. I'm telling you guys right now, this is a striking versus grappler matchup. I give both these guys the edge, very much so, at what each of them do. I've been so much on the fence with this fight. I was so high on Gregor back in the day, but that loss against Kevin Lee where he froze up really, really was disappointing for me. Gregor's right around a minus 200. I feel that line's kind of high. If you ask me, I like having the fighter that has the grappling in his back pocket. And, if he's able to avoid getting knocked out early and they get tired, yes, I do think Gregor will get the takedowns and he'll take the rounds and he'll pull off the decision. I don't know, though. I feel that Brad Riddell can easily go out there and get a knockout. And I'm kind of on the fence with this pick right now. And I've been on the fence with this pick. I really haven't been able to settle in with the prediction, just because this fight can easily go one way or another in a very stern way. If Gregor establishes the wrestling, or if Brad Riddell establishes the takedown defense and works the striking. I want a little bit more time to make my official pick. I want to get a little bit more information on this fight as we creep up into fight week and whatnot. But I am going to slightly edge Gregor Gillespie here right now. I'll take the grappler. I've seen what he could do with his wrestling, and I'm going to edge Gregor Gillespie to win this fight right now. There's a possible chance that I can go back to Riddell on this fight. As far as the line, obviously, I'm not crazy about the line. But yes, I will pick Gillespie to win the fight here. We're talking about a serious wrestler that's going to be a little bit more motivated. And when he gets his hands on guys, he does rip them down to the mat and he controls them there. I could see that happening. All right. But more to be said about this fight. I will be talking more about this fight. There'll be more content put out to you guys. Obviously, now with me putting out these videos earlier, you'll get more content as we creep up into fight week as well. All right. We made it to the main event. Let's go, boys. Got an excellent main event fight right here. For those of you guys that are interested in working with me, getting my official plays, reach out to me. MMAfortuneteller@gmail.com. Instagram, MMAfortuneteller_. Twitter, the MMA Teller. Reach out to me, and if you guys are interested in my pricing and whatnot, love to work with you guys. Shout out to everybody that's rolling with me, coming off a profitable event. We're gonna have a profitable event tomorrow, and this will be a profitable event as well. You guys know what time it is. A lot of big fights on the horizon, a lot of opportunities to make money. Now in the main event, we got Derek Brunson taking on Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland coming off that nasty knockout against Jacare Souza. One of the nastiest knockouts we've seen in some time. The way he was getting up off his back. I don't know why Jacare kind of froze up and sat in that position. It was a little weird. Maybe Jacare's been through some wars. He's getting up there in age. He recently had COVID. I know he had a lot of stuff going on. But Kevin Holland is a guy that is, you give him an opportunity, he's going to be all over it. And I love his frame. I love the reach that he brings into the division. I love his striking. I love his jiu-jitsu. Training with Travis Lutter. Travis Lutter, a very, very skilled jiu-jitsu coach. Kevin Holland is no joke anywhere this fight goes. In fact, I really think the only hole that we've really seen in Kevin Holland's game is the takedown defense at times, and we've seen him controlled on the mat. We saw that in the what was that? He's actually fighting this weekend. The Darren Stewart fight. Darren Stewart, that was a split decision victory for Kevin. He barely won that fight. Darren Stewart was dominating the third round, got takedowns. We saw Holland taken down against Brandon Allen and submitted there as well. We've seen Holland when he took on a bigger fighter in Thiago Santos. He was really brutalized with the grappling, slammed down, and bullied in that fight. Even the Gerald Meerschaert fight wasn't the greatest look from him. But I think that this is a guy who's putting it together. What is he coming off now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights. He's going in there. He's finishing these guys. Besides the Stewart fight. The Charlie Ontiveros fight. That was a guy that's not really UFC worthy. Took that fight on short notice. But props to him for stepping in there. Derek Brunson's a guy, though. Let's talk about Derek here for a second. Coming off one of the best performances that we've seen from him in his career. He's sharpened some things up with his training. He's changed some things up. Looked very, very sharp against Edmund Shabazian. I didn't see that coming. I was high on Edmund there. I thought Edmund would have knocked him out or styled on him on the feet. And Derek really, really looked very, very quick and sharp on the feet. He's coming off 3 victories in a row now. His prior loss was against Israel Adesanya, the champion. Lost to Jacare. I thought he beat Anderson Silva. Knocked out Lyoto Machida. So if you take a look at his losses, lost to Whitaker, the champion, the prior champion, Jacare, a stud of a fighter. He's fighting top talent. There's no reason why he can't go in there and take Kevin Holland out. I don't, let's not forget as well, Derek Brunson's a guy that we've seen go in against certain types of striker type guys that have holes in their takedown defense. We've seen him use his wrestling too. Let's not forget Derek Brunson was a talented wrestler. So we've seen him go in there, take guys down, and control them as well. He does have that element in his game too. And I think that's something that he really should look to do here. I think he should try to take down Holland and control him for some rounds. I'm curious to see how Holland looks in the later rounds too. We've seen, like I said, he faded in the third round. I'm curious to see, does Brunson start to shine in those later rounds? Does he get some takedowns and start to take over the fight a little bit? Can he hang with Holland on the feet as well? There's a lot of questions in this fight. I am on Holland though. We take a look at the line. Holland's right around a -170. Seems that everyone's pretty much in agreement with me. I think that Holland, it just has shown a lot of promise, and when he does rise to the occasion, he's very, very skilled, and I got to edge Holland to win this fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if Holland goes in there and gets a knockout. We've seen Brunson, we've seen him kind of drop the ball on the feet at times. Remember the Whitaker fight? His hands, he was looking very slow in there. I mean, he has learned from those experiences, but Holland is a guy, if you make any mistakes, he'll catch you. He can catch you in any type of position, as we saw in the Jacare fight. And I'm taking Kevin Holland to win the fight there. And again, that was a nasty knockout against Jacare. Maybe he catches Brunson and from an awkward angle or something on the feet and he puts him out. But I do like Holland there. As far as the line goes, maybe a little bit iffy. I think that Brunson can show up and he can deliver a victory here, coming off one of the biggest victories in his career. So the line may be slightly high for what I like it. I would like Holland more around -140. And keep an eye on the line. Let's see how this line moves. As of right now, yeah, money has been coming in on Brunson overall since this line initially came out. But we're talking way back since January. That's 2 months of a time. As of recently, line has pretty much stayed even, jumped a little bit back and forth. So, for those of you guys that are looking to snipe these lines early, doesn't look like we got too much movement as of right now. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up the breakdown for UFC Vegas 22. Like I said, I'm getting these out to you earlier now. They all will be out the week prior to the event. I want to have this video out to you guys early so you guys can get to business early. I hope all you guys have a great St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day coming up. I think it's next Wednesday. It's upcoming Wednesday. Filming this Friday right now. And we'll have some Guinnesses. We'll have some Irish whiskey. And you guys can catch up with me tomorrow on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. I'll be interacting with you guys. I'll be going live. And we'll talk with you guys then. And had a buzzed up the head a little bit. Took the hair off, getting the summer cut going. And hope all you guys have an amazing weekend. And what else can I say? I appreciate every single one of you guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. You guys take care. Signing out. The Teller.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The Teller. The Teller. The Teller. The Teller.